I have here the new M5 iPad Pro. This isn't nearly the massive update that the M4 iPad Pro was last year. This is a revision with some nice quality of life improvements. This video is sponsored by Paperlike. Let's get into it. With the new M5 chip that is in this iPad Pro, there are some interesting benefits. First off, memory bandwidth has been increased to 153 gigabytes a second. That's over the 120 gigabytes a second that the M4 was. This will help with stuff like multitasking, loading large images and videos in a timeline, 3D modeling, and local AI tasks. Now, if you're curious about the new multitasking system or anything in iPadOS 26, I did a deep dive into it. It's almost a 50-minute video that I will link to in the description below. I'm not going to review iPadOS in this video. I'm just focused on the new M5 iPad Pro hardware. One of the big advertised benefits of the M5 chip is improvements to the GPU performance. I have a fairly heavy GPU workflow, so I was excited to put this to the test. The first thing I did was run the Geekbench GPU benchmarks. On the M4 iPad Pro, I got a score of 55,461. On the M5 iPad Pro, I got a score of 74,780. That's a pretty significant jump. But how do those numbers actually translate into real-world use? That is the more important question. So I took a video project that I have, and it has a ton of 4K H.264 footage. This project is 15 minutes and 57 seconds long, and I exported it as HEVC. On the M4 iPad Pro, it exported in 8 minutes and 17 seconds. On the new M5 iPad Pro, it exported in 6 minutes and 56 seconds. So it shaved off more than a minute of export time for this project. So doing a little bit of back of the napkin math, the M5 iPad Pro exported this project 16.3% faster. That's a fairly decent generation over generation boost. And if you do a lot of exporting a video, that save time will add up to be quite a bit. Now, CPU-wise, I also ran Geekbench on it as well, and it was more modest gains. For the M4 iPad Pro, the single core performance comes in at 3,741, multi-core comes in at 15,079, and then the M5 iPad Pro, single core performance comes in at 4,091, and multi-core comes in at 16,378. Not really a massive jump there. So if you have a heavy CPU-focused workflow, going from the M4 to the M5 iPad Pro isn't going to really get you that much. But if you have an older iPad, say like the M1 or older, this is going to be a really nice performance gain for you. In my opinion, the biggest performance gain for the M5 chip is actually going to be for the lower tier storage models of the iPad Pro. The 256 gig and 512 models now ship with 12 gigs of RAM. On the previous iPad Pro model, they used to ship with 8 gigs of RAM. This will be significant for multitasking, having more Procreate layers, Photoshop, things like that. Heavy RAM intensive processes. Now, the 1 and 2 terabyte models still ship with 16 gigs of RAM. I would have loved to have seen this increase to 20 or 24 gigs of RAM. For me, I get the error in Photoshop all the time that the device is out of RAM and I have to go in and force quit a bunch of other apps in order just to export an image. A big feature Apple touted with the M5 chip is improvements to local AI performance. Each GPU core now has a neural accelerator built into it to help with local AI tasks. Right now, at the time of recording this, there are only a couple of apps that can take advantage of this. First off is Draw Things and their generative images. Not a huge fan of generative images. That's a whole nother video. Not a big fan of that. But DaVinci Resolve can take advantage of it with its masking feature. So what it's really cool at is you can select a subject in DaVinci Resolve and it will go through all the frames using this neural accelerator, and it's pretty fast. And it'll find the subject and it'll put a mask around it for every single one of those frames. But most apps that use local AI are going to be waiting on an update to something called MLX. Essentially, what this update will do is it will give apps access to the neural accelerators in the GPU core, allowing them to speed up local AI tasks. But the hardware set aside for a moment, Today in October 2025, there really isn't a lot of local AI tasks that you can do on an iPad. I work from an iPad, and there's only one task that I do regularly that takes advantage of a local AI, and that's using the app Quick Subtitles for transcribing audio and video into text for subtitles for my YouTube videos and podcasts. Right now, when I run it on the M5 iPad Pro, I see very marginal gains. Now, there are apps that allow you to run local AI open source chatbots right on your iPad. You can download the models and they will run okay. But the big issue is you can only run small local models. Because local models have to run in RAM and the iPad caps out at 16 gigs of RAM, and if you have a lower storage tier, now 12, you can only get really small models. In fact, I wasn't able to run anything that was more than 5 gigabytes. And because you're using these small models, they're a lot less capable and have a lot less information built into them, which makes them a lot less useful than something like ChatGPT. For most iPad users, they're going to be using cloud models like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude. And having neural accelerators built into every GPU core isn't going to speed up ChatGPT. It's interesting hardware for sure, but on the iPad right now, there's not a lot you're going to be able to do to take advantage of it.
This video is sponsored by Paperlike. This is the Paperlike 3 screen protector. This is a brand new version of the screen protector for iPad users. This gives you a feel of premium paper when writing or drawing on your iPad. It uses the latest evolution of Paperlike's nano dot technology that they have been refining and testing for years now. This gives it a matte look, textured feel, and extra friction without compromising screen clarity. A big new feature of the Paperlike 3 is the introduction of the Butterfly application system. This is a completely rethought and redesigned way of applying the screen protector to your iPad so that there is a dust-free application. When applying the Paperlike to your iPad, there are 4 layers: the screen protector, a dust-catching layer, and 2 protective folios. When installing the Paperlike, it comes with a helper tool, an incredibly easy to follow step-by-step guide. This ensures your screen protector is properly aligned, plus with the addition of the 4-layer design, you won't get any dust between the Paperlike and the screen of your iPad. I love this new application process. I am the worst at applying screen protectors. I always get at least one bubble. This new installation process was really easy to follow. But if for some reason you do mess up, Paperlike includes a second screen protector in the box so you can just try again. Unlike a lot of screen protectors, the Paperlike 3 follows Apple's recommendation of maximum screen protector thickness. The Paperlike comes in at 0.095 millimeters thick. This guarantees the precision of your Apple Pencil. Paperlike is one of my favorite iPad accessories. I have it on all of my personal iPads I own. Paperlike provides a 100% satisfaction or money-back guarantee within 100 days of purchase, so there's really nothing to lose here. I'm going to put some links in the description below to where you can go check out the Paperlike 3. My thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video.
The new M5 iPad Pro ships with Apple's C1X cellular modem. This is the cellular modem that came out with the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17 Pro. And I've been very impressed with it. This enables up to 50% faster cellular performance and 30% better power efficiency. I ran a speed test with both my M4 iPad Pro and my M5 iPad Pro. Both of these iPads are on the Verizon cellular network. Now, this speed test can vary a lot depending on where and when you run it. But every single time I ran it, the M5 iPad Pro always performed better than the M4 iPad Pro. Whenever I upgrade my iPad Pro, I always get cellular. It has saved me so many times. I am convinced there's no such thing as decent hotel Wi-Fi on this whole planet. Plus, when I go down to work at the coffee shop or something like that, I just like working off of cellular. It's faster to connect, plus it's more secure than open Wi-Fi. Even though I primarily work from my iPad at home, my iPad is my main computer. It's the only computer I travel with now, so having cellular is just a nice feature. Tethering is totally fine, and if you don't need it that often, it's an okay way to go. But for me, the big issue with tethering is it just drains your iPhone's battery. And when I'm traveling, that's probably like the most precious commodity I have is my iPhone's battery. I don't want to kill that by tethering to my iPad. The M5 iPad Pro also got the N1 chip that came with the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17 Pro. This brings Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread to the iPad. Now, I have here at my house a Wi-Fi 7 network, and I absolutely notice the performance gains over the M4 model. It's faster and has lower latency. For me, this is really beneficial when I'm moving files to and from my NAS. But if you're into game streaming, this is going to help a lot as well with lower latency. A big benefit of Bluetooth 6 is more precise distance measuring, so this should help with things like Find My. It also has lower latency, so this should help with things like game controllers and the input of that. And as far as Thread goes, I wasn't really able to test this. I do have Thread smart home devices here, but for some reason, none of them seem to be working on the Thread network, and I'm pretty sure it's because I broke something. I need to figure that one out. A big complaint that I've had about the iPad, and this is the iPad's whole lineup for a while now, is battery life. I can't get through a single workday on just one charge on any iPad. The M5 iPad Pro still gets the quote-unquote all-day 10-hour battery life, which I do not find to match 10 hours for my workflow, nor all day for me. I keep bringing this up because we live in a world where the MacBooks are getting 18 to 20 hours of battery life just by normal workflows. And I would love to see that on the iPad. Maybe that's not as feasible because there's not as much space, but even if we could get 12 or 14 hours battery life on the iPad Pro, that would be nice. Now, to kind of make up for this M5 iPad Pro is the first iPad ever to get fast charging, and I love it. You can use just about any 60-watt power adapter to get this fast charging. You don't need the Apple-specific one. And what this will do is it'll charge about 50% of your iPad's battery life in just 30 minutes. This is my personal favorite feature of this update. Now, I do have here the new 40-watt dynamic power adapter that goes up to 60 watts, and it is fairly compact. The plug unfolds and folds up, stuff you'd regularly expect. But I have two issues with it. First off, the USB-C port is on the bottom. So that means when it's plugged into a wall, the cable's gonna be coming down and then going out. And if you only have a 6-foot cable, that could be really precious space. The other thing is it only has one USB-C port, and I don't like traveling with a bunch of extra bricks. I like traveling with one power brick. So for me, I will be sticking with my Anker 120-watt power adapter that has 4 USB ports on it, and I can literally charge everything I travel with. Overall, I'm extremely happy to see the iPad has fast charging now, but I would love to see it get better battery life. With the new M5 iPad Pro, it supports high refresh external monitors, with some asterisks there. So it can handle up to a 4K resolution at 120 Hz. If you have a higher resolution monitor, say a 5K or a 6K monitor, the max it can do is 60 Hz. For those with a high refresh rate monitor, there will be an option in settings to turn on adaptive sync. This will run the monitor at a low latency, perfect for playing games on an external monitor. Over this last week, I really had to think about what was important for me. Because I can't have a proper large retina monitor running at 120 Hz with this, I had to decide what's more important to me. Having a retina monitor that has good color reproduction, or getting something like an OLED 4K 120 Hz monitor. And while I really want an OLED monitor, having a proper retina monitor with really good color reproduction, I think is more important to me for my workflow. So for now, I'm going to be sticking with the Studio display. I'm excited to see Apple embracing high refresh rate external monitors for the iPad. I just hope that they can do a proper large retina monitor that can also support 120 Hz in the future. To sum up, this is a small iPad Pro update, and that's fine. Not everything needs to be a massive update, and arguably nobody needs to be updating every single year to a new device. You're fine waiting a couple of years, especially now, devices hold up really well. But Apple could have taken this opportunity to add some color to the iPad Pro lineup, like the iPhone 17 Pro. I mean, I have seen the cosmic orange iPhone 17 Pro all over the place. But even if it was like the deep blue one, that would have been really nice. They also could have taken this opportunity to refine the accessories a little bit. There are small things that could have been done on these smaller update cycles. But the obvious conclusion is, if you have an M4 iPad Pro, there's not really a reason for you to upgrade unless one of the really niche updates speaks to you. But even then, I would argue at that price point, probably hold off for the M6 iPad Pro. If you have an older iPad Pro, like an M1 or even older than that, this is going to be a perfect time to update, because not only are you getting all the stuff that's in the M5 iPad Pro, but you get the massive jump that was also the M4 iPad Pro with the redesign, thinner, lighter, redesigned internals, so better cooling, OLED display, better Magic Keyboard, Apple Pencil Pro, all those things were there. So that's the M5 iPad Pro. I want to hear from you all. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this update. My thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great day.